Welcome. How's everyone doing? Good morning. Let's see if we can start today with no mistakes. I don't have my assistants here today, so I don't know if the stream is gonna be healthy throughout the whole session. But keep me just basically tell me on YouTube and I'll figure it out somehow. Hello, Rogerio. We're all gonna go to Rogerio's class after this. It's at 12. We're gonna do some conditioning with him. Yeah, I've been trying to not go to it, but today we have to. Speaking English, Rogerio. Oh, Eduardo. So Eduardo used to be one of my first ever instructors. And Rogerio, you guys know him. They're all in Dubai. Rogerio does the conditioning classes for us. Are you, Eduardo? You good? Eduardo showed me the first ever sweep I ever learned was from Eduardo, right? He was a sitting guard, collar and sleeve sweep. And it was the move I used the most in blue belt. But I still use that sweep that he showed me. Alright guys, today we're taking a look at half guard. Is the sound okay? Can everyone hear me? Perfect. Right, so today is half guard. We're gonna look at a couple of situations from the half guard. Hold on, let me just change the screen. There we go. So we're gonna take a look at a couple of scenarios from half guard. We're not really gonna look at this position per se today, because the guy's already got a knee showed, so he's already recovered. We're gonna be looking at when we get smashed from the half guard and how to deal with it successfully. Right, hold on 1 second. Need to start something. I keep forgetting to add stuff. I need this, my drawing tool, and we're good to go. Right, so a couple of things you've got to realize in half guard. Okay, there's lots of different ways we can play half guard, but today we're looking at defensive stages, so where we're getting smashed in most cases. We got to realize what type of half guard we're in. Okay, there's several types. 3 main ones when we're getting squashed. The underhook and crossface. So I'm gonna call underhooks UH if you guys don't know, and the crossface. I'll quickly explain what they are. The crossface is this arm underneath. Okay, so that's what I'm calling the crossface, and this arm over here, that's the one I'm calling the underhook. So when I say underhook or crossface, just make sure you know what I mean, because that makes a big difference, especially when I'm coaching or when I'm in comps. That is very important to know the jiu-jitsu kind of language. My assistant is working today. She's in ITU with all the COVID patients, which is unfortunate. So everyone clear what the underhook is and what the crossface is, and it depends on what side you're on. Okay, so that's very important. So this is your traditional underhook and crossface passing style. We've got the underhook there, the crossface. So this is one of the worst positions we can be in terms of passing. Okay, we're gonna look at seating pass on Octopus in a second, but right now we're just focusing on this style. So first of all, little pointers when you're getting squashed in these scenarios, because it can be very underwhelming and that kind of stuff. But conserving your energy, okay, that's the first bit you gotta think of. A lot of times you try to be explosive and try to get out of bad scenarios using like power, and you just gas yourself out, or you lose a lot of energy and work. So we're going to be focused on the framing and the leg work. And lastly, you need to notice people's stances so you can go for specific moves at different scenarios. So your traditional escape is our standard elbow frame to close guard, which everyone should know. This is your regular shrimp escape. We frame the neck, we frame the hip, and we shrimp. We take that arm with us. Okay, the main reason is if I didn't take this arm, Kirstine could drop her elbow down over here and trap this leg. Okay, so anytime you're doing an elbow escape, this is usually the bit where you get stuck and you can't get your leg out, and your partner can bring this arm really close to your hip and trap you in there. So as soon as your knee's there, this arm becomes an overhook there, and you can stretch your partner out and release your legs. Okay, so this is your standard elbow escape. Again, I'm not gonna go into full detail on this one because it's your regular escape. You try this, it doesn't work, we move on. Okay, and at higher stages of your career, you will feel like when someone's got underhook and crossface on you, they're gonna position really well. So this escape can be difficult to do. A lot easier in no gi actually, and the gi is a little bit more trickier. But your other option is our lockdown recovery. Okay, again, this is from underhook and crossface scenario. Chris here, in this case, has put her knee under my armpit. So you see it's a bit difficult for me to get my elbow in place to create my frames. So instead, I've noticed that her leg is quite straight, so I'm going to set up my lockdown. So the leg work here. I put socks on just so you guys can see it clear. So the lockdown, our traditional half guard is to the other side. We transition into a triangle here with our legs and we hook the foot. It's a great move for when the person's legs are straight or even a little bit bent as well. But the whole purpose of this is to stretch your partner down your body so you can start doing your moves. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna use the lockdown to make space so I can get my frame in. Right, she had the underhook before, I didn't. So right at the start, you see that she has the underhook, my hand is over here, she's really tight towards my head, so I can't get any frame going on right now. So I use the lockdown to stretch her body down so I can get my frames in. And this little move here, I learned it from Eddie Bravo. It's called Jewels of Life, and we're gonna see him doing it in comp after when we do the jiu-jitsu breakdown. Okay, but it starts off with him framing the neck to make space so this arm here can swim on the inside. It's a great tool to get rid of your partner's weight on you. And then from here, you've basically recovered. You got your underhook there, block the crossface with this hand, and you can go for a series of moves from here. But the whole purpose of today is just to recover. So I'm just gonna show our regular knee shield, and now we're in a better scenario than before. And that's the whole point of this class, is to get out of those bad situations. So what if the lockdown doesn't work? We're gonna move on to our twist sweep, another very good technique. I'll quickly show it to you and then we'll talk about it. So I can't get my lockdown, so instead I tip Chris over. Again, this is a very beginner friendly technique. You can hit this quite a bit in the early stages. It gets more difficult as you go through, but it's a good technique, okay? Because we're gonna see we can combine it with different techniques as well. Again, Chris got the underhook and crossface on me. She's tight, okay? This move here is the complete opposite of the lockdown technique, okay? I'd actually would use this before the lockdown if I could. So this should have been before, but it doesn't really matter. You can choose which move to go for. But in any case, this is all to do with your hips now, okay? The arms are gonna come last. So first of all, this foot is the main driving power behind this technique. It's gonna stomp onto the floor, and I'm gonna twist my hips towards the back wall over there. So pinch your knees tight, twist your hips, and I teach this all the time in class if you've seen it. And then the arm's gonna come into play in the last second. Okay, so I'm trapping her underhook with my elbow close to her hips, and that will tip them over. Again, the person on top has to be very tight, okay, for you to do this move, and they usually are. So you are able to usually either tip them over, or we'll see in the next slice at least off balance them, so we can do our bridging technique, which is the next one. So the twist sweep doesn't work in this scenario. Okay, we've attempted it, we've done everything correct, and it's very easy to avoid it. All Chris has to do on the person on top is just to either use their elbow as base, or just basically not lean too much to the other side. Okay, I'm still gonna try to move. See, it won't work. Then I'm gonna bridge so I can do my elbow escape to the other side. So there, I've just combined the twist sweep into what I call a Superman escape. So twist doesn't work, Superman, and then recover. So I'm using the same recovery as we did in the first elbow escape there. And this is probably the technique I use the most in terms of escaping a tight underhook and crossface scenario. If this doesn't work, I'll move on to my lockdown. But I really like this combination. 1-2. And sometimes, depending on how the person reacts, right? Chris here based with this arm, okay? But she could also base with this leg. She could also not base at all, and she'll get bridged over and swept. But right now, you see, she based kind of with her leg. She still has the crossface. So I was able to get my frame onto her thigh, and then I was able to recover. But depending on how the person bases, you'll have an easier time recovering, or they'll even get swept. The last little recovery we're gonna do from the underhook and crossface is our butterfly recovery. Again, a very good move. This is Ross's technique. I use this a lot as well, but he taught it to me. But the person has a crossface and underhook again. I have attempted my twist sweep or my Superman. It's not working, right? So now we're gonna try to get our butterfly in. So a little shrimp, there's two little key elements to this technique. One is you have to have some form of frame here, and you have to get on your side. Okay. If you're not on your side and you're flat on your back, it's harder to get that butterfly hook in unless you're really flexible. But that's all you need, that frame on the hip. Okay, sometimes you can post your hand as well. Anything to keep your partner's weight off of you for a little bit. I'm going to shrimp here, and I'm going to insert that little hook there into the butterfly. Now, from here, I just showed the regular stretch or move, but there's a series of techniques that you can go from here. You can do your full Ross butterfly chain, sweep, set up arm locks, and etc. But again, I just want to get out of the bad scenarios, so I'm just going to stretch away and set up into a butterfly. But you can combine it with any technique that you like, okay? But again, I've tried my twist sweep, I've tried my Superman, doesn't work, so I'm going to set up my butterfly instead, so I can stretch away. So you can see a little window of like steps. You try one move, doesn't work, so we move on. So you're never left just sitting there letting the guy do his passes. And that's your regular underhook crossface moves, okay? And this is my strategy, the only thing I follow, to be honest. So I just cycle through these moves until I can escape. Works out most cases, most times. Sometimes it won't work and the guy will pass, but at least I'm not there sitting without a plan, okay? The next little recoveries we're gonna look at, to be honest, that's all of the half guard kind of moves that you can kind of pull off, okay, but there's a lot of other moves. But the next slice we're looking at is the seating style passes, okay. This is the bit where I was talking earlier about noticing people's stances from their half guard. So right now this is underhook and crossface. Now we're going to look at the seating pass style. So seating passings are more popular in a gi rather than no gi. So where you only have a crossface in, and this hand is usually trying to push the leg and starting your pass sequence, okay. Quickly show you the pass now. Here we go. I think this is the pass. So I have underhook and crossface right now. The pass isn't working, so I'm gonna switch to a sitting style pass. So I get that crossface pressure there, and I use my elbow there to start to get my leg free. So I'm just framing Chris's thigh away, and I'm taking my leg out when I can. So this is what I mean by seating crossface passes or seating style passes. Again, there's lots of combinations that the person on top can do from this position, but this is just your standard sitting guard, okay? So we've realized that the person has gone into their sitting stance, okay, which is this. She's got the crossface. She might have the underhook like she currently has, or she might be pushing my leg. It doesn't really matter. The escape's going to be the same. It's quite simple to escape from this. Chris has to keep a very tight head control on me for this to be successful. So your escape is quite simple. Keep your legs really high and pinched so that her knee doesn't come out. And we're going to get our frame. And the whole goal is to get our head onto Chris's shoulder, or at least like her, like underneath her head. So I'm gonna frame there and get my head right into her shoulder. Now she's forced there to bounce back. Okay, that's everyone's normal reaction, because otherwise I can sit up for an underhook, or there's lots of things that could go wrong for the person on top. But that's basically it. I use this like 100% of time whenever someone's sitting on me like this. Get your frame in and just get your head right next to her shoulder there, and you'll see everyone will bounce back to their knees. Okay, it's just really uncomfortable for the person on top. She lost that connection of the crossface, so they will bounce back like that. Okay, again, there's lots of different techniques from here. You could play around with butterfly hooks as well. You can use this leg as a butterfly hook and start going for sweeps. But again, I'm just showing you ways of recovering from bad situations. So get your frame in place and block the crossface. Cool. Alright, any questions so far before we move on? I know these are a bit complicated, but hopefully everyone understands the positions we're in and which recoveries we're using. The last little slice is going to be the octopus pass, but if you guys got questions, fire them away before I move on. I'll quickly go back here so you guys can see the scenarios I'm talking about. So this is the seating style pass that we said before. The next style of passing is the octopus side style. Okay, this is just this one. This is where instead of the crossface, the person brings the arm over to the other side of your body. Okay, this could be over your arm or under your arm. Under your arm is usually octopus. Over your arm is usually shoulder hold of some sort. So we're gonna take a look at the pass now. So this is the pass. It's a great pass to do when you can't beat someone's frame. So they've got a frame on your neck. You're uncomfortable in that scenario. So you bring that arm underneath and you sit like this. And again, your whole goal here is to get your leg out for the pass. And you can do it many ways. I've just pried Chris's leg open and I passed. So again, this is octopus style passing, okay? Very clear. You guys need to notice which stance the person's on, and this move here is when the person switches their base. I'll show it one more time. Chris is framing here. I bring my arm over and I sit there. This is one of my primary passes. Very good against flexible guard players, especially because it's hard for them to keep these wedges on the underhook and crossface. And as soon as they start framing and escaping, I usually switch to this octopus style. Because you're focused completely on their hips, they're not able to like pull off some flexible moves. And it's one of the best ways to pass my guard as well. If you're ever rolling with me, this is probably one of the best passes to use against me. So recovering against this is, again, if you're one step ahead and you know the guy is gonna go for this pass, we can set up our moves already. Okay, so again, I've tried my frame escape. Chris switched to base here. Two types of strategies I'd use or recommend for this one. One is your regular octopus sweeps, which require, I think I did film it, but I didn't put it in here because I'm only focused on recovery. But the octopus sweep is essentially a hip bump sweep, where we bring this elbow backwards and we get up onto our elbow and we just hip thrust over. Because this is a sweep, I didn't include in this. So instead, we're doing a move called man overboard, which I think Bill Cooper calls it man overboard because it's like you're chucking someone off your ship. So I'm going to hold on to the lat. This is even better in the gi because you can grab the belt. And my other arm is going to grab her leg or her trousers, anything I can find. And I'm literally just going to chuck her over to the other side. And what I want to do is just to make a base with their hand somewhere around here. And that usually means it will elevate their hips and you can essentially escape. So I chuck her over and then I escape. Recover, Kirsten's done the correct thing here. She's bounced back to recover. Okay, a lot of people won't, and you'll be able to chase their back by bringing this knee in and coming up. But the good players, they'll usually base and bounce back straight away. So you'll be left with some sort of guard. But it's a very good technique to do. Again, just chuck them over and make them base somewhere around here. Everyone will raise their hips to avoid it. I'm also using my legs here, which I haven't talked about, but I'm pinching my legs and I'm keeping them very high. Because Kirsten's move is just to push my legs down and get her leg free, right? So I have to keep contact with her thigh and squeeze her legs the whole time I'm there. So I throw her over and I come back. If you guys know the Shaolin sweep as well, this is where it comes from. This is where you grab the sleeve and you do the backward roll instead. So sometimes if I do this and the person's still leaning on me, they haven't elevated their hips, you can switch this arm to the sleeve over here and you can do a backward roll to do a Shaolin sweep instead. But again, I'm just showing you the recoveries there. Perfect, okay? And those are essentially all the half guard smashing positions someone can put you on. I can't really think of another position instead of these three that someone can attempt a pass from. Okay, and again, this is from full half guard. Okay, it's not knee slicing, it's not like backstepping, etc. So this is only full half guard where your leg is inside. I believe these are the only passing scenarios someone can put you on. Underhook and crossface. We've got sitting style passes and octopus style passing. Octopus style passing is also shoulder hold control. So where people fish for kimuras, but the escape is the same that I showed. So if you realize what stance the person's on, and based on that stance, you start strategizing your escapes. Okay, so crossface and underhook, we had our frame escape to close guard or any form of move, and the thing to look out for here is just that arm. Collect it as soon as you can. If that's not working, we do our twist sweeps. So pinch your legs together, trap the arm on the other side, twist the hips to the side. If that doesn't work, don't be sad, try the Superman instead. 1, 2. They also call that the Octopus sweep, but focus on creating space with those, okay? This is the good one for those explosive type of fighters, because if you're very explosive, you can tip people over and it's quite easy to take people off of you. One thing that happens, especially as beginners, okay, whenever you're trying to do bridges, they let this leg go dead, okay, and the people step out. Make sure you're constantly trapping that leg for you beginners out there, okay? Twist sweep hasn't worked, or you're more of a butterfly player. Instead of going for your regular shrimp escape, use your shrimp to get your butterfly hook in. And from your butterfly hook, you can start off your leg lock entries, sweep entries, whatever from there. I'd say this is a bit more no-gi orientated. It's a bit better to go for leg locks and using the butterfly hook and etc. And then noticing the different types of passes. One is our seating style passes, which is where my partner here switches the hips. There we go. And our counter to that is simply get your frame in, get your head in close. 1, 2, and make space. Cool. And the last little style of passing is our octopus style. We switch our base. Again, like I said, right, this arm could be here or over the shoulders. Or if it's over the shoulder, that means that it's harder for you to frame their neck, okay? But it's still the same escape where you chuck them overboard, okay? Which is this technique here. So she switches her base, grab anything you can find, chuck them over, and escape. Alright, any questions, anything about this before? And that's the end of the half guard lesson plan, okay? Again, there's nothing big about this. It's just noticing where you are in the half guard scenarios. Conserve your energy, find the right time to be explosive, focus on the frames and leg work. And again, notice people's stunts is the biggest thing about this lesson, okay? Like I said, these are all recoveries. There are no sweeps or anything in here. But follow that sequence of chain and you should build a system around your escapes. So for the lockdown, we're going to see now, okay, on the fight breakdown, how we can implement the lockdown recovery. Sorry, not this one. This one. So right now we're in a defensive stage. We can turn this into an offensive style of fighting afterwards, okay? So every recovery will have a, you can add your own sequence of attacks later on. So you're always counter-attacking after escape. Cool? Alright. Let's see the comments here so I can read them. Where is the snow rustling today? Saving lives. Yes, yes. Yusuf has joined today. Hello, Yusuf. Hold on. Some people are messaging here, not knowing where the link is. Let me just quickly send it to them. Boom, boom. So next we're gonna look at Eddie Bravo versus Royce Gracie, and how he used the lockdown, or he used his half guard to recover, and how comfortable he was in those scenarios. Cool. Yes, I'm giving you away all the secrets to smash Imran. For those who don't know, Imran is like the 6-foot bodybuilder who has the strongest close guard in the world. No one can like open his goddamn close guard. And he has a family that trains. He's got mats at home, very jealous. Okay, next up is Metamoris. Royce Gracie versus is it better full screen or no? Quality is a bit bad. Right, so this match here, if you don't know, Royce Gracie, very traditional jiu-jitsu guy, old school smashing style. Eddie Bravo, new school, lockdown pro. But this match is interesting because Eddie Bravo goes into, he allows Royce to get into all these bad position. Well, not bad for Eddie Bravo, but in the jiu-jitsu world, we see it as bad scenarios, okay, where the person has an underhook and crossface on us, or they're an octopus passing. While for Eddie Bravo, this is his A game, so he loves when people smash him in these sort of scenarios, okay? Because he's been there so many times, he's really confident and comfortable in those positions. But Royce Gracie doesn't know that, so he thinks he's usually in a good position. So we're just gonna skip here. So you can see instantly Eddie Bravo pulls his half guard. So he's there. I believe Eddie Bravo has no wrestling background, so he doesn't want to play around at all. So he pulls in, and I haven't talked about this, but this is quarter guard right now, okay? Another great scenario to, another position where people look down upon. So you would think the person on top is in a really great passing scenario. He's got a knee cut position. His foot is almost out. But Eddie Bravo has a really tight pinch of his legs, and Royce doesn't have an underhook. So there's nowhere for him to pass to. He can pass, but he doesn't have the underhook to stabilize the pass, and his leg is really trapped. So this isn't really the bit that I want to watch, to be honest, but we'll quickly walk through it. So Eddie Bravo is setting up the knee twist. A lot of torque on the knee here. So Royce can't slice. It's usually because of this leg here. He's trapping his heel. There you can see it from a better angle. So even if Royce tries to slice it, there's so much pressure on his knee that he can't get through. Eddie Bravo keeping his elbow really tight. Royce trying to get his underhook in there. He can't. But again, they're just kind of fighting for underhooks right now. This is a whole battle of the arms here. So Royce trying to set up some form of darces or head attacks. But again, because his knee's so torqued, he can't really like twist his hips much to be able to do any of his moves. Again, he keeps basing up on that leg, hoping that Eddie Bravo tries to pull guard or something, but Eddie's just staying in there and keeping his elbow tight, and there's not much Royce can do. He finally gets his crossface in here. Let's see if he does anything with it. Eddie Bravo still has the underhook, so it's no danger whatsoever there. You see, the whole thing here is not actually the upper body here. Eddie Bravo isn't doing much. He's just keeping his elbow tight, and he's keeping that torque on Royce's knee. So even if it seems like Royce is on top, like crushing him, Eddie isn't really in a bad scenario right now. He keeps looking for that leg, hoping that Royce kind of goes into a full sitting guard scenario, but he's not going for it. I might skip a little bit just so we get into the lesson plan bit. Again, over here they're still just fighting for underhooks. So you can see Royce has no idea how to pass this guard, to be honest. He could backstep, but he's clearly not backstepping. He's just fixated into that knee slice because he thinks he's pressuring Eddie here. So he keeps going for that crossface, but again, because of that knee torque, he's sort of, he's in a good spot, but still the torque of the knee is just not allowing him to do anything with it. Royce just keeping that leg, but this is, let's go to the bit where I want. Here we go. Royce finally gets his underhook here. Okay, underhook and crossface. Very good for Royce right now. Eddie's using the butterfly hook to kind of like stretch his legs out. But you can see it's not comfortable for Eddie here. This is where things start to get a bit interesting. He's trying to swim his elbow back again, like the Superman recovery that I showed, I think, last lesson. But again, all has to do with that pinching of the legs there. Even with the underhook and crossface, he's putting tremendous pressure on his face, but he still can't get past because of the pinch. He's doing the right thing here. You see, he's trying to bring this knee over to the other side. Every time he does, Eddie does something really interesting with his legs. He switches the cross of his legs to make it harder for this knee to go to the other side. You probably won't be able to see it, but if you're a knee twist player like myself, you will know every single move he's doing right now. If you don't play much of half guard, you would think this is bad for Eddie. But anyway, it is sort of bad because he's getting his face crushed. Now we get into the bit that I wanted, okay? Here. His knee finally goes in, and we get full half guard. So, at this bit here. Now it's our half guard lesson plan, okay? So, he's got underhook and a crossface. So, we know exactly where he is, okay? So, this is where we've got 3 options that we looked at. So, we saw he's in this sort of scenario, underhook and crossface. And we said he can go for his standard elbow escape, he can go for his twist sweeps, or he can go for his lockdown. Lockdown is Eddie's A game. So this is what he's going to go for. So you see the swap of the legs there, really quick. But he's got his lockdown. Now this is the funny bit. Everyone is cheering for Royce when he gets the underhook and crossface because they think he's in a great spot. And then you can hear in the background the 10th Planet people cheering as well because Eddie finally got his lockdown. So that's Eddie getting his lockdown. You saw a very fast, I don't know how to slow this down, but there's a very fast jaws of life here that we see. So he gets the lockdown. Now watch Eddie's arms. He's going to get his underhook back, and it's going to be really quick. So he gets his lockdown. Now watch the frame here. Boom, frame of the neck. That's his jaws of life that I showed. Boom, boom, and he gets his underhook. Okay? So in slow motion, this is exactly what he did, look. So he's there. He got his lockdown. And then he framed the neck, okay? He can't get this hand inside. He wants it inside here. But there's not enough room, okay? So he starts off by binding his arm there to push away so he can get his arm inside. And then he pushes away once more to get his underhook. So it's exactly what he did there, but really fast. So he got his lockdown. We'll see in a bit. There's the lockdown, there's the frame of the neck. This arm's going to connect, push, and then the underhook goes in. And now he's got his lockdown. and this is where he's starting to do his electric tear. It's kind of set up. But that's his recovery. See, he was in a really bad scenario. Well, not for him, but for most people, a really bad scenario, and he used it to his advantage, and now he's setting up his sort of techniques. So there's the lockdown setup. So this is what I mean, but you can go from a very defensive stage into a very good attacking position. This is a groin stretch technique. Royce, very flexible and stubborn. Probably never tapped to this. For Jerry's here, I've tried this on him 100 times. Can't tap him with it. He literally does this split on top of me. So this case, Eddie couldn't sweep, so instead he just couldn't finish, so he just sweeps instead. So he holds him in position. Eddie Royce is complaining here to the ref that he keeps holding him, but he's in a great spot. Eddie's just resting here, steps out and passes. So that's a full sweep, a full recovery. So this is like best case scenario from the lockdown. He did the full chain. He went from a defensive stage, from a half guard to a lockdown recovery, into attacking, and then into a pass. So now he's on top, and he's in a great spot. Okay, I think if we skip, he does some other crazy submissions here. Royce is forced to turtle, and he gets his legs flapping like a fish. He tries another kind of spinal lock here. I forgot the name of this, but he has some crazy name for it. But again, only Royce is not gonna tap to any of this. Is a absolute crazy. Back hooks now, and he shakes him off. Now again, watch this. He doesn't learn the first time, Royce. Again, you can see a very stubborn man, in my opinion. Gets out. Should know that he shouldn't be in his half guard anymore. Okay, he just got caught with this move. Again, underhook comes in play. Eddie doesn't care. Gets his lockdown again. Royce people going crazy because they think that Royce is on top again, smashing him. 10th Planet people not worried at all. And even the commentators, they don't know what's going on here. They're saying like it's Royce's Grace turn now. But anyway, we skip forward again. Eddie Bravo's going to do exactly the same technique. He's finding space to get his frame in so he can do his jaw of life. I think it happens here somewhere. Oh, he goes for rubber guard this time. There's the lockdown. There's the underhook. That happened in crazy, like, this is absolutely like crazy speed here. But try to watch his arm, right? He doesn't have an underhook right now. He's gonna quickly force the lockdown, and you see his arm becoming an underhook really quick. So there's the rubber guard, doesn't work. Lockdown, he has the underhook. Watch his arm, quickly slips out, and there's his underhook. And now Eddie is back to good. recovery. Again, he gets the underhook. Again, sets up the electric chair one more time. Exactly the same technique. Royce is doing a very good lockdown counter this time. He's hugging Eddie's head, which stops Eddie from arching his body and allows him to stay safe in that position. So Eddie goes into what we call a stoner control later on, which is a different technique. Sweeps him again. And he's sometimes, right? So here, it looks like Eddie gave up position. This is a submission only format, right? So passing isn't a very good strategy because it's very easy for people to recover side control no-gi just by being explosive. So whenever Eddie passes, he actually lets Royce go back on top so he can set up his submissions again. This is him sitting just so he can try his lockdown again, because that's the position he's been having the most success with. So again, he gets the lockdown, gets another electric chair. So that's the third time in a row he gets the same technique. He knows this isn't working, so he's gonna go for a different move now. So he's passed a few times, he knows it's not a good technique, so he sits back down and gets underneath this leg for stoner control. And then he tries a vaporizer, which is another submission. Stop here. Royce complains about the position he's in, and they reset in a totally different position. A bit of a scruffle here. And they start Eddie in a complete different position. But Eddie still, actually they set up in a good position for Eddie anyway. So here's a terrible torque on your knee here. You can actually pop someone's knee. And in the interview, he says that he popped his knee a few times here as well. They start chatting here. I believe from the Joe Rogan interview, Eddie Bravo's telling Royce that he needs to rest, so he's gonna just chill here for a bit. Live match. But anyway, he's complaining here again that he's holding him. Eddie's just resting, and he finally sets up his last submission attempt here, which is the vaporizer. So there's the car slicer. And this is the rest of the match basically. He just holds on, trying to submit him, but time runs out. But anyway, that's the power of the lockdown recovery there. But that's a great example of how he just used he realized which position he was on the crossface, and he just set up his chain accordingly to where he was, and you saw he was basically dominating the whole fight, even though people think that Royce was winning. But that's the end of this lesson, and that's the half guard master plan. We've got 7 minutes left before Rogerio's class starts, so if you guys need anything, questions, ask away. This is the bit where if you want to join the Discord group to chat, you can. I'll put the link in down. Here's the Discord chat if you want to join in. Yeah, I'd highly suggest learning some lockdowns. My advice: people look down on the lockdown a bit because it does hurt people's knee if you don't use it correctly. Don't be that guy that just stretches the lockdown to twist people's knees. Use it to actually set up sweeps and stuff. Yeah, like I said, yeah, exactly. That's the most common thing. People just get the lockdown and they just use it to stretch like really hard suddenly. And that's not what it's used for. It's used to elevate people. So when you get the lockdown, you're supposed to pinch your knees, and you're actually bringing your knees towards your chest and then extending them from side to side instead of just extending the lockdown. That's the biggest advice I'd give, to keep not injuring people and etc. And always remember that people don't usually like tapping to groin locks. So if you see a guy, you got it, and the guy's just not tapping, just like move on to something else. But like I said, don't stretch people's knee really hard. Yeah. Alright, let's see what we got on Reddit for the last few minutes. There's some fun stuff today before Jairus class start. Here we go. This is a good question. What are the best positions and drills to do with an uninterested uke? Whenever you're trying to get people to drill with you, they're kind of like that don't know jiu-jitsu, they're very limp and they don't react properly, and it's really hard to drill them. And a lot of people in jiu-jitsu as well do this when they're drilling. But yeah, it's quite hard to teach them or to drill properly with partners like that. My advice would be to like teach them how to react a bit better and how to like position their body before you start doing the moves. So how to frame, how to shrimp, and etc. What do you mean by dangle a gift, Emma? We got some pictures of legalized jiu-jitsu here. Is this real? I can't even tell if it looks real. Oh, offer them a gift. Gift for what? If they get locked down? Or if they do a move? I should do like giveaways. Ooh, Rogero's class is starting soon. Take a friend to a BJA class for the first time. We had a few people in Grand Union puke in their first class. I wasn't there, but I've heard stories. I don't know who it was, but he never came back. This is also Yusuf after training session. Is 0 times a week enough to win the cancelled worlds? It'll be quite interesting to have a comp where no one like trains and just shows up and see who wins. But you shouldn't allow people that have partners at home though to train. Only people who didn't train at all. It would be quite cool. I reckon people gas out the first 4 minutes. It would be crazy scrambles. Colvinho is the new BJJ GOAT. Tiger King memes and jiu-jitsu, great combination. I want one of these shirts. If you guys don't know, huge honor for me. This is the highlight of the day right here. Bernardo Faria, guys, go follow him. He's giving out a bunch of free instructions and stuff. And I'll probably end it there so we can join Rogero's move class. If you want to join Discord, join in, or join the Zoom chat for Rogero's conditioning class if you want to hang out there. But nice work, guys, and stay safe, stay active. If you guys don't know, check out our YouTube channel where we have lots of let's go here. We have lots of conditioning stuff and BJJ drills and stuff. Just search up Grand Union BJJ. And you can see all of last week's lessons as well if you want to see. We've got solo drills, home workouts, all that kind of stuff there. Subscribe, etc. And that's it. Hope you guys have a good day. And make sure to join Rogero's class now. Let's go.